Hi, Stephen here from Fated Crossings, and today I would like to introduce a series of videos on what it means to have the moon in a water sign. We will discuss the placement of the moon in water generically, not focusing on any one sign, but rather speaking about what it means to have the moon here. And maybe differentiating a watery moon from a fiery and an airy and an earthy moon. Those of you who watched my video on the primitive qualities will remember that water is cold and wet. And this is primarily responsible for the manifestations and interpretations that we see with the moon in any water sign, be it Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. So these individuals who have this placement are able to tune into other people very sensitively. Now, why is this? Think about the behavior of water in the world, right? Think about all the things that we do to keep water out. There's an entire profession, plumbing, that arises simply to tame and manage and organize the availability of water in our lives. And the reason for this is that this substance respects no boundaries. You often read in astrology books how watery placements have problems defining boundaries. I'll have more to say on this in a bit. What I want to point out now is that this lack of respect for boundaries is essential to understanding this element. And when the moon is here, there is a need to transcend boundaries. So water, it invades personal space. It does not respect personal space. It wants to access hidden, inaccessible areas. And if we don't do things to keep water out, then it sort of rushes in and invades. And what this allows the water moon person to do is to get under your skin and map out your interior world. This is why these individuals are often characterized as being very sensitive, because they have this almost psychic ability to get inside of you literally and understand your interior reality. So the water element just ignores all boundaries. Contrast this with the fire element, which is hot and dry. It is all about defining the ego, separating itself from others. This is me and this is you. Well, with water moon, it is not like that. The boundaries between the watery moon person's ego and your ego, these boundaries are very porous. And it can't be helped. This is just the way the person was born. This is their role in the universe, and it's the way that they're supposed to be. So it's futile and pointless to criticize the watery moon person for their emotionally invasive tendencies. Camouflage. This ability to ignore boundaries, this ability to dissolve their own ego definition and merge and fuse with the other person allows the watery moon person to camouflage themselves, in a manner of speaking, to disguise themselves and to effortlessly just blend with other people, to become one with all that is, to merge and to become a part of everything. This is central to understanding the psychology of a watery moon person. They lose a sense of themselves to a degree and seek a fusion with all that is. There is an inner state of oneness, a sort of a purity, a desire to be at one with everything. And for this reason, a condition of divine discontent often arises with the watery moon person. And this is all passive. The individual takes in your energy, as it were, in a passive way. They don't mean to do it. Again, contrasting with fire, if fire is enthusiastically radiating outward and doing things, then water is more magnetically attracting. Just like that. Things happen to the watery moon. And also to the earthy moon, whereas the fiery moon makes things happen to others. They do their moon, whereas the watery moon person has lunar qualities done to them. That comes from the cold primitive quality of the watery element. any placement in a water sign shows something that happens passively to an individual. And so we have to recognize that watery people, watery moon people especially, have to have some sort of a psychic immunity, some ability to filter out all of these passive, unwanted, invading, extraneous influences that pour into them. Sometimes it's not good to merge your consciousness with the environment. Sometimes it's not good to sort of blend seamlessly with your surroundings, losing your separate sense of self in the process. And this could be why these individuals, especially the Pisces moon, are so often associated with not only substance abuse, but also compassion, a deeper concern for how other people are doing, a desire for their best when it comes to their welfare. So the watery moon is also very famous for caring, a desire for intimacy, unselfishness, charity, and these are all, of course, very positive qualities. You contrast that, of course, with the proud dignity of the fiery moon. Now, to a certain extent, people with the moon in an air sign, they also have this ability to merge their consciousness with other people. But the difference is that the airy moon does it on purpose because it's hot. Air is hot and wet. So the airy moon person goes out, radiates outside of herself or himself, and seeks to merge consciousnesses with others. Whereas the watery moon person, it happens to them without their volition, without their consent, as it were. And on the positives, on the plus side, this is what's responsible for the watery moon's reputation for empathy. But it's also what's responsible for some of the horror stories that are associated with watery moons, because they don't have any ability really sometimes to preserve themselves. Indeed, there isn't a self to preserve. Sometimes with the watery moon, it's really difficult to discern the difference between me and thee, as it were. And so there is a need, a definite need to define the ego. Now, this ability to dissolve themselves and all that is also leads to great imagination and creativity, because there is a direct access to the subconscious. And of course, this constant access to content in the subconscious is not always very pleasant for the watery moon person, because a lot of times what is repressed deep within us is sort of monstrous and horrific, and it can be difficult to deal with. So again, divine unhappiness, discontent with the world, discontent with the material things of the world, the pleasures of the outside world are often not enough to give the watery moon person true happiness, because what they want to do is to be absorbed by their surroundings, as it were, to get into other people's skin, to seep into hidden areas, as it were. So, for this reason, perhaps emotional disturbances are more common with the watery moon than with the fiery or the airy or the earthy moon. On the plus side, there's often a reflex or an instinct to investigate the occult mysteries of the universe. And indeed, if we think about reincarnation and past lives, the moon being a central figure toward understanding a person's prior existences, then people with watery moons often have past lives where they were priests, mystics, spiritual figures, spiritual teachers, clerics, druids, you name it, witches, for example, perhaps even magicians. It's a very mystical type of placement to have. The deeper mysteries are always accessible to someone with the watery moon. So I might also add that on a more practical level, the moon is a child-giving planet. And the watery signs, all of them, are extremely fertile signs. So here we have these two factors, and this, a lot of times when a person has a moon in the water triplicity or the water element, then we can be fairly certain that they will have children, especially if this watery moon happens to fall in a house that also gives children, such as the 11th or the 1st or the 10th or the 7th, and of course the 5th. If a moon in a water sign is in any of these houses, then the chances of this person having children, in fact, having more than 1 or 2 children, go up. Now, with that said, you will find people with watery moons who neither have nor want children, but this does tend to be rare. So, here we have our introduction to what it means to have the moon in a water sign generically. And in future videos, I will drill down to what it means to have the moon in specific water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Thank you for watching. And if you want to get in contact with me, please write to Stephen at fatedcrossings.com. Thank you.